I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Elick?
Here.
Ms. Karstafen?
Here.
Mr. Bax?
Here.
Mr. Brubaker?
Here.
And Mr. Gebhardt?
Here. Great. Would everybody please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the June 26, 2019 Elyria School Board meeting. I'd like to introduce our group up here. To my right is Board Member Kevin Brubaker. To his right is Board Member Jim Bax. I am Greg Elick. To my left is Board Member Annie Karstafen. To her left is our Senior Board Member Mike Gebhardt. To his left is our Superintendent Ann Slosh. And to her left is our Treasurer Joy Clickinger. Okay, moving along on the agenda, Madam Treasurer, do we have anyone signed up to speak today?
No, we don't.
We do not, and I believe we do not have any presentations, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So the minutes from the last meeting, the June 12, 2019 meeting, have been posted. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Brubaker. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Board Member Gebhardt. Any questions or comments? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Treasurer action items. Madam Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. President. My first item is the monthly financial reports, to accept the financial reports for the month of May 2019. The second item is donations, to acknowledge, express appreciation, and accept the donations as listed, one being from Miss Lacey Haney and one being from Mitsu Cleveland. And those are my items this evening.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the treasurer action items?
Move to approve.
A motion by Board Member Bax and a second by Board Member Karstafen. Any questions? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Treasurer, other items today.
Okay, this evening I have all the items that it takes to close out the current fiscal year. So number one are the advances and transfers of funds. To authorize the treasurer to advance and transfer funds from the general fund as detailed in enclosure H1. The only thing I'd like to say about that is to remember that advances will get paid back. The difference between, and a transfer does not get paid back. The advances we have are because they're state and federal dollars, and we have to spend them first and then we get reimbursed. The reimbursement will come back in July or August, and then I'll be back to ask the board to put the money back into general fund. Number two is permanent appropriation modifications, to approve the modifications to fiscal year 2019 as detailed in enclosure H2. The building project is showing the largest decrease, and this is just a timing issue. You'll see the appropriations go back up as the state share of the building project is drawn down. We will be able to appropriate more when we know what will be received or what we anticipate from the state. Number three is the amended certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 2019, to approve the amended certificate of estimated resources as detailed in H3. From your last approval to this current estimate, you can see major changes are again in the capital improvements, and that's due to the school facilities project again. Therefore, I backed the estimated amount out of capital projects, and so that's down by nearly $49 million. Okay, number four is to approve the temporary appropriations for fiscal year 2020 as detailed in enclosure H4. The amounts on these are just 30% of the current year's expenditures. That's enough to get us through till we approve the permanent expenditures in September. permanent appropriations, in September. And then lastly, the amended certificate of estimated resources, and that is also for the fiscal year 2020. And there's no changes in that as the one that we received from the county in March.
Good.
And those
Cool.
are my items.
Okay. A lot of items there. Do I have a motion to approve all of the treasurer other items today?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Board Member Gebhardt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Brubaker. Any questions? No questions? Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Any other reports today, Madam Treasurer?
No.
Okay. Anything on the OFCC or, no? Okay. Okay, moving along on the agenda to the superintendent action items. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, President Alec. I have the following items under superintendent actions, and there's quite a list, so bear with me. To approve the payment of the stipends below for some extended school year services. To approve the contract with Suburban School Transportation. To approve the Educational Service Center Project Search contract for 1920. To approve the contract for the ESC Northeast Ohio, our annual contract with the services we use from them. To approve the contract with the Lorraine County Board of Developmental Disabilities, which is also known as Murray Ridge School. To approve the automatic continuation for Maxim Healthcare Services for 1920. To approve the Life Care Wheelchair Transportation for 1920. To approve the contract with PSI Affiliates, which is in coordination with St. Jude's, one of our auxiliary schools. To approve the overnight field trip for the cheerleading team to Kenyon College in July. And to approve another field trip for the volleyball team for their camp at Slippery Rock in July. And lastly, for the approval of a one-year insurance agreement between the Elyria City School District and the Ohio School Plan Insurance for next school year. And that concludes my action items.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the superintendent action items?
I'll make the motion to approve the superintendent action items.
A motion by Board Member Karstafen. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Board Member Bax. Any questions or comments?
I have a couple of questions on the insurance. Was that put out for bid?
I'm going to let Mr. Carmody speak to that as he drove that process.
We had USI go out to Liberty Mutual, to Argonaut, and one other vendor. And then we went to Ohio School Plans ourselves to basically price check them. Ohio School Plan came in at or below most of their quotes from USI. And Joy and I felt like Ohio School Plan has a much better understanding of what we do in education. Perfect example is the change in the language and about the law for the treasurer's bond, which we just changed over how we handle that. Ohio School Plan, especially in the interview process, had a much better understanding of where that is and where that's going, so we felt much more comfortable with them.
Do we have coverage on the new schools? Do we have builder's risks on?
Yeah, we have builder's risk. That's staying with USI. That's already been prepaid. So that is a completely separate insurance policy.
Okay. My only problem with that program is it's a pool. And with a pool, 3 schools go bad and they have a lot of losses, we're all going to eat it. And we had them at one time before, a long time ago, just when they first started. And they were very hard to get away from. This was before I came, but I had something to do with it. And they wanted us to pay to get away. So I'm very leery of them. So, just my opinion.
I've had them in districts in the past. They haven't seen a loss in many years. Estimated this year, the dividend from the pool was almost $9,000 for a district our size coming back to the district. So that was factored in, as well as that's why we only do a one-year contract. So at the end of the year, we can reevaluate the plan. As long as I'm here in this position, I plan on reevaluating the insurance on an annual basis. Whereas in the past, we did anywhere from 3 to 5 year contracts.
What do you mean there was a fee to get away? What does that mean?
Well, I shouldn't say a fee. They wanted more money. They were going to charge us the full amount of the, it's kind of hard to explain, but they were going to charge the full amount and not give that money back
So the savings
if
from
they
the
moved
pool?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mean like if you left early? If you left
The remaining
inside of the term?
Separation.
No, that was at the end.
Oh, that was at the end
Oh.
of the term?
At the end of the term. I don't know if it was a 3-year term. I do not remember that.
Are we aware of that is still the case in this current contract?
To my knowledge, there's nothing in the contract that shows that at the end of the one-year agreement, we have the option to just leave the.
Okay. Is the treasurer bonding in this underwriting, or is that separate? The new
It's in
treasurer
it.
bonding? It's in here? Okay.
Coverage-wise, they're the same?
Yeah, exactly the same as what we had before. We have added since, really since I got here, a cyber policy that wasn't in the original USI contract. But they were at least at or below the new cyber that we added through USI since I've been here.
Okay. Other,
Yeah, and just one thing on project, on this ESC thing, this Project Surge.
Correct.
Could you just quickly, verbalize that? What is?
Sure, I'm going to do my best to what I know, and if I miss anything, Ms. Blatt, let me. It's actually for students that go through a program, and I believe it's housed at the ESC.
LCC.
Yeah.
It's actually through, it's a collaboration between the Lorraine County ESC and Lorraine Community College, where it's a 13th year for students with more significant special needs that teaches them on-the-job training in 3 different areas at LCC. So one's within their early child center, the bookstore, and their Stocker Center, preparing meals and catering events. We've actually had 3 of our students be hired over the course of the past 2 years, performing the internship for the year. So it's a great opportunity for students to learn those job skills and then find gainful employment.
I actually just heard from a parent whose son graduated from the program and he's head of salad operations at the college and has been working there now for 3 years, and they are extremely thrilled with the process.
Great.
So.
And it's a 1-year program for them. So they do what they call a social graduation from EHS, and then their 13th year is like an internship where they spend half the day learning those job skills and then half the day from the classroom at LCC.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a really great program. And they have to be selected to get it, so there's an application process. And next year, we have 4 students slated to attend.
Oh, good.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. On these 2 field trips, do we have a policy or a thought process on how many chaperones we should have per? What would that number be?
The policy in our OSBA policy is it's 10-to-1 for students 3rd grade or above, and 5-to-1 below. So they go by that.
And that's our policy?
That's
in the OS?
our board policy.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye. Motion carries on the superintendent action items. Okay, superintendent other, Madam Superintendent, or your personnel action
We'll go
items?
straight to personnel action items. I think. All right, that scared me. Okay, let me gather myself again. All right. First of all, to approve the resignation of the following certified staff. We'd like to say good luck to these teachers. 2 of them are moving out of state. Another one to another opportunity closer to her home, I believe. So we just want to say thank you. Also to approve the appointment of the following certified administrative staff. First of all, we finally, it's been 2 years, found a gifted coordinator, and we're very fortunate. Parma's loss is our gain, and we've heard wonderful things. She came very highly recommended. And then you'll see the next 2 positions are part of that restructuring plan we had talked about. And then Mr. Velasquez is moving back to the Pioneer Academy, which was his baby, and he wished to go back there. And Brenda Whitman, who is an intervention specialist at Eastern Heights, will be an interim associate principal or assistant principal at the middle school, Eastern Heights, for 2 years. So in our restructuring and consolidation, everything, we thought that was best. As far as appointment to the following certified staff, we have, as you can see, several new hires. We have Melissa Cirillo, I hope I got that right, new 7th grade math teacher, and Catherine Schroeder, 6th, 7th grade teacher at Westwood. You'll see these are both Westwood. We have had significant growth at Westwood and had to add a couple teachers, and we are all aware of all the building going on over there. Also to approve the supplemental contracts, and you can see Jamie has this very detailed and in order, long list, and she has them, those were the more the academic supplementals, and then number 5 is to approve the athletic supplemental contracts, both certified and non-district. We have to approve the payment of a $100 stipend for moving or setting up of classrooms due to involuntary transfer. We started this practice several years ago. If we ask the teachers to move, we try to give them a day to work in their room beyond the school year. And then for approval of the payment of up to 40 hours for the following nurse to help with medical paperwork for athletics at EHS. To approve the appointment of the following classified administrators. We have Amy Fouché, Higgins Fouché, change in title that really kind of encapsulates her roles she's kind of inherited with crisis management and organizational strategy. And then AJ Alec Hyde, he moved into this position months ago, and we needed to make that change. We also want to, Beth Grimm is here. She was with Sodexo. She was going to retire in January, end of December, and we've come to an agreement where she can stay with us and help us in the food service transition, which is phenomenal. Number 9 is to approve the appointment of the following classified staff as follows. And to approve the supplemental contracts of the following classified staff and the unpaid leave of absence of the following classified staff. And that concludes my recommendations under the personnel action items.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the personnel action items as recommended by the superintendent?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Board Member Gebhardt and a second by Board Member Brubaker. Questions and comments? Quick question on Westwood. What has our increase been over there?
6th grade is up to 180 incoming students. They usually sat around 120, 125.
Okay, cool.
That in comparison to Eastern Heights and Northwood are around 135. So where Westwood used to be our smallest middle, they are now our largest.
Okay, and have we been able to adjust our numbers for the building project for this increase?
We, yes.
Or is that still
In short, yes,
process?
we are looking at everything. We look at that attendance with the building project. We again look in September. We've been doing it 3 to 4 times, but more so in working with Jamie this summer in hiring practices. We've hired very few, as you've noticed, teachers this year. We are keeping a look as far as where do we really need them? We've had some numbers that have gone down. Can we shift that teacher? And that's why you saw the transfers over to another building where their enrollment is up. So we've really been doing our due diligence there to make sure we don't, overstaff as far as the consolidation goes.
Do we have an idea of how many homes are anticipated on
Yeah.
that side?
We just got that actually from the, Mary is her name.
Building department secretary.
Yes, there were roughly around 92 homes being built out near Fowl Road.
Okay. Okay. And I know, isn't the funding number with the OFCC a half per house?
Half a child per house for school purposes.
Okay. Is that a realistic number?
Probably.
I know that's what they use.
Probably, because you have to remember too, a lot of, you may get people that move out there that already live in Elyria somewhere else, so we don't always see new students, we see students moving around, and then maybe someone new will move in. So it's probably pretty accurate, but we have given those numbers to the OFCC.
Okay, good. Super. Any other questions or?
Are all the coaches certified?
Vetted and certified, yep.
Okay.
Have all been vetted, and we talked about that this morning. They don't go on until we know we have their proper certifications.
Okay,
Good. Okay. Any other ones? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye. Motion carries.
Would you like to meet the new people?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
I'm going to call up Melissa first, because I do remember you, Melissa. Do you remember me? I do. All right. She student taught at Franklin, am I, all right, with Erin Neal. So this is
Oh, great.
Melissa, one of our new teachers at Westwood.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Elyria Schools.
And then Brenda Whitman, the interim new associate
Oh, great.
at
Welcome.
Eastern Heights.
Welcome, Brenda.
And that must be Alex. Is this the husband? Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hello, husband.
Hello, husband. And then we have AJ, I call him, but it's Alec Hyde.
Great. Welcome, AJ.
He's the, in Brian's department. Cindy Judy,
Great.
right there. And then, I'm looking, I'm sorry, who's back there? Beth Grimm, she is here.
Oh,
Hi,
there
Beth.
you are. Welcome.
Thank you for staying, Beth.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and then we have Kathy Cap up
Oh,
here
yeah.
at front.
Kathy.
And who am I missing? Is that everyone? I think so.
Great.
Who's here?
Great.
Thanks.
Okay, super. Okay, moving along, do you have a superintendent report for us today?
You know, today was the last day for principals.
Okay.
And 210-day personnel, but so far this summer, we're working hard and getting things set up for next year, doing some planning, but we just wish everyone a wonderful summer. Students are already out playing, going to camp. We had 220 kids that just finished Camp Invention. We had Tech Core Camp, and we have some robotics camps and things coming up. So over 400 students going to camps at Elyria in June, and 2 weeks of third grade and second grade reading camp. So very busy, but winding down.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Madam Superintendent. Okay, moving along on the agenda, the Board of Education. It is my pleasure to ask the board to approve the resolution to reappoint our award-winning treasurer, Joy Clickinger, as detailed below. Do I have a motion to approve our treasurer?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board
Second.
Member Brubaker and a second by Board Member Gebhardt. Any questions or comments? With none, Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries. Welcome back aboard.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay, and then, any items from this board for the good of the cause? I have one quick item. Go. The stadium, I'm getting a number of questions from people about the stadium being done or whether it is done, and I remember talking with Dave Stahl about, I had a question, and he thought this particular item was on our school's cost. So I think it would be nice to get an idea of where we're at, if we are done, if the finances are all tied out, if everything's paid, and then what we need to do internally to kind of get that finished look. So I will be asking the superintendent and probably our consultant, Jake, and maybe even get Mr. Stahl together for this board to have a final run-through at the stadium. How we're going to do that, I'm not sure, but it'll be on the list. Anybody else have anything here today?
I'd just like to say welcome back to Miss Bonetto. It was good to see her walking today.
Thank you.
You
So
feel
we're
her
gonna be
pain?
walking.
If you want to dance or race, we can do that.
It'll be a few months.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other items here? With none, I don't believe we have a need for an executive session tonight, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Just want to stick around.
Okay. A motion by Board Member Brubaker and a second by Board Member Bax. Madam Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brubaker?
Aye.
Mr. Bax?
Yes?
Ms. Karstafen?
Aye.
Mr. Gebhardt?
Aye.
And Mr. Elick?
Aye, motion carries, meeting adjourned.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.